Boebert, Calvarese make their cases to 4th District voters. Voters in Colorado's 4th District will decide in November whether to send U.S. Rep. Lauren Boebert back to Congress or elect her challenger, Democrat Tricia Calvarese. The district, which covers 21 counties on the Eastern Plains, Douglas County, and north of Denver, is largely Republican. It is currently represented by U.S. Rep. Greg Lopez, a Republican, who was elected to the seat in a June special election, where he beat Calvarese in a landslide. Boebert beat 5 other Republicans in the June primary, after moving from the 3rd Congressional District, which she currently represents. The Douglas County News Press spoke to both Boebert and Calvarese about how they would represent their constituents in Washington. This would be Boebert's 3rd term in Congress, and Boebert has faced criticism for not having passed much legislation into law. But Boebert is proud of her track record thus far, pointing to the appropriations and amendments she has passed. These are pieces of legislation that I otherwise wouldn't have jurisdiction to influence, so the open floor amendments let me give a Colorado voice to those bills, Boebert said. Boebert said she is already working with officials in the 4th District to find legislative solutions to local issues, such as her recently introduced bills to fix zip code issues and to require more hiring checks at massage parlors to try to prevent trafficking. Calvarese would be a first-time legislator, but said her experience working with the National Science Foundation and the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrial Organizations, AFL-CIO, gives voters a taste of how she would represent them. During her time with the AFL-CIO and the Science Foundation, Calvarese worked on the Inflation Reduction Act, the Infrastructure Bill, and the CHIPS and Science Act, which funds research and manufacturing of semiconductors. Those are all bipartisan laws, and I'm not even in Congress yet, Calvarese said. When it comes to addressing affordability, Boebert said one of the first things she would like to see is cuts to government spending, such as getting rid of green energy subsidies and defunding the recent expansion of the Internal Revenue Service. Boebert also advocated for deregulation and investment in energy production in Colorado, such as natural gas and oil. Those two things, cutting spending and energy production, coupled together, do provide a solution for a booming economy, Boebert said. Calvarese said she would work to bring public-private partnerships to the district that support economic development and support legislation to protect against price fixing. That's how we're going to lower prices. We build it locally and develop locally, she said. In addition, Calvarese said she would support farming subsidies to help reduce the cost of food and legislation to reduce the cost of health care. Boebert takes a no-tolerance stance on illegal immigration, having introduced the Build the Wall, Deport Them All Act, which would expedite deportation, remove birthright citizenship, and fund the border wall. Boebert supports Douglas County's lawsuit against the state over laws that prevent law enforcement from working with federal immigration agencies, and said she would be in favor of federal legislation to ban sanctuary cities and reform the asylum process. I do not believe asylum seekers should be released into the interior of our country until their asylum has been approved, Boebert said. Calvarese said she believes in immigration reform and would have voted for the bipartisan immigration bill introduced in February, which would have funded immigration agencies and changed the asylum process. In addition, Calvarese said she supports adding pathways to citizenship and expanding visas for workers. As long as there are people that can be exploited for their documentation status in the workforce, it hurts everybody, she said. So we need to get those folks who've been here, contributing to our society out of the shadows, on a pathway to citizenship and into the system.